Hi, I'm Vicky Ford and I'm one of the Conservative Party candidates for the European elections on the 4th of June. I'm a local councillor. I gave up my career in banking about 5 years ago to become involved in politics. Quite simply because I think there are too many people who are professional politicians who haven't worked in other careers before getting involved. As a local councillor, I've found that many of the decisions that affect people in my local area and our local areas neighbouring to us cannot be made, those decisions cannot be made just by local people, but decisions are sort of forced on us either by Westminster or today more and more by people in Brussels and in Europe. Now I think that that's wrong. I think that decisions on the whole are best when made at a local or a national level, and that rolling back that tide of bureaucracy from Brussels is one of the reasons why I've decided to get involved in the European election campaign. I grew up in the countryside. As a child, my parents were both doctors, but we kept pigs and cows and turkeys, so I hope I will also be one of the members of the Parliament that really does understand the importance of agriculture in this part of the countryside. East Anglia produces 60% of the potatoes, 60% of the wheat, and 60% of the pigs and turkeys that there are in the whole of the UK. So when it comes to feeding the people of Britain, our agricultural community is really important here. So I'm very pleased that I come from a farming community and will help to represent that really important part of East Anglia. Why Cambridge? Why do I live near Cambridge? I met my husband through being a student at Cambridge University. We actually met a couple of years after we'd both left. But that's how we met each other, through Cambridge University, and we live in the same house where he was born and brought up, just on the outskirts of Cambridge. Cambridge is now a world centre for scientific research in pharmaceuticals, in electronics, and in many of the research that we will need to help face the challenges that we have for future generations, such as global warming and how do we save electricity and how do we save power. A lot of the thinking that's going into that comes from the various businesses around the east of England. So I'm glad to be back, hoping to represent the area where I did my studies and hoping to help research for the future. One of the things that is a really big issue across all of the east of England really is infrastructure. We've had a vastly growing population and are forecast to have yet more of a growing population, and that has put huge pressure on our roads, our railways, let alone our hospitals and other services. In my career in finance, I spent a lot of time helping to raise money for infrastructure, both in the UK and overseas. And it's very frustrating often to go overseas and see that there's been investment by the EU in new roads, new rail services, and then come back home and get stuck in a traffic jam on your own local road. Now, I believe that the east of England should be getting its fair share of funding for infrastructure. It has not had that, and if we are to be the driver of economic growth coming out of this recession, we need the infrastructure and the roads and the railways to help our growing community. The other thing that I've been very involved in as a local councillor is looking at some of the planning and building planning that's happened around here. And it's very clear to me that some of the proposals that are being driven mostly by the Labour government in Westminster for tens and hundreds of thousands of new homes around East Anglia are not sustainable. I think those decisions should be made at a local level and not some sort of top-down regional planning. So yes, we need infrastructure. Yes, we do need affordable homes, but they need to be in the right places.